Every single day, people come to your e-commerce brand's website and they're looking to buy stuff, but not all of them are going to be ready to buy right away. So what we need to do is we need to capture as many of that website traffic as possible and move it onto our email list. The reason being because when they're on our email list, we can over time convert these people into a buyer by educating them on what we do, explaining exactly how we can help them in their life with our products, and just handle any objections that they might have that are holding them back from making that first purchase. And so, in order to get people to enter the list and then convert into a buyer, the most proven, tried and true way to do that is with a high converting opt-in form into an email welcome flow. And so in this video, I'm going to be walking you through exactly what I think you should do and what we've seen work best in opt-in forms moving into a welcome flow so you can make a ton of money from it. So let's dive right into this. How to craft the perfect welcome email flow for your e-commerce brand and make $50,000 to $100,000 a month from it. So first thing I want to kind of clarify here is that, from your email welcome flow, you should generally expect to make about, let me think about what our average is. I'd say on average, it's probably about 7.5 to 10% of total store revenue to come from this opening welcome email welcome flow alone. And so that's going to be generally anywhere from like 4 to 10 emails in that flow. And so, yeah, about 7.5 to 10% is kind of like what we expect there. And keep in mind, we typically are using Klaviyo, and that's typically what we are getting that stat from is on Klaviyo. Now that's a general rule. That's what you're gonna want to try to hit. If you're making over 10% of your overall revenue from this welcome flow, then you're crushing it. That's pretty good. Now I want to dive into first the opt-in form because the welcome flow is great, and we're gonna talk about that, and I'm gonna give you the exact steps that you need to go through in those emails. But if the opt-in form sucks and you're not actually converting people onto the list at a really high rate, then everything's gonna fail. So what we want to do here is kind of map out what you want in an opt-in form. So typically, we like to go with as simple of a form as possible. And the reason for that is because you need to really put yourself in the shoes of someone that's on your website. All right. So for example, let's go to a website like Dr. Squatch real quick. I know they're using an opt-in form, so we can look at what they're running with here. But let's say I'm here shopping on the site. All right, let's go to shop. Let's shop for bar soap. All right. We're here shopping, looking at some limited edition stuff. And now, I don't know if their pop-up's going to come up for me, but let's assume, boom, I'm just shopping, looking for a product that I want, and out of nowhere, I get a pop-up on the screen. You just interrupted their shopping experience. Now, obviously, someone's first reaction when they see that is going to be to click off, click the X button, click no thanks, whatever it is. And you probably know exactly what I'm talking about because you've been on a lot of websites where you saw the pop-ups and you're just getting annoyed by them, clicking them off. So what we need to do is we need to make it very simple. All right, it should be very easy for someone to come in here and opt into this form. So there are a few main components. All right, you're gonna have your headline. Let's add that right here. Headline. Let's make that pretty big. Okay. Then you're gonna have a button. Okay, so this is going to be your button. Let's label that as well. All right. Excuse the bad drawing. Okay, you have your headline, you have your button, and then you're going to have an actual form. All right, so this form is going to be where people will actually submit their email. Now, this is a really important note. A lot of brands that I audit, they'll put a first name, they'll put email, they'll put your birthday in some cases, or they'll do first name, last name, email, birthday. I cringe every time I see that because you're just adding so much friction to this form. And it's are you even using first names in all your emails? Some brands do, which is great. We'll typically, honestly, only use the email field here. And then we only tend to use first names when it's like a post-purchase flow email, because when it's post-purchase, they've entered their first name in to make that order, so we know we have it. And of course, we use dynamic pieces of text so that even if their first name isn't installed, it just uses a filler word. But yeah, and it's like you just want as little friction as possible here. All right, so we'll move on, but these components are extremely important. Now, what I also want to add here is no thanks text. So another really nice tip for you here, we never just put no thanks. We always do something like no thanks, I'll pay full price, or something like that. And the reason is because, like I said before, as soon as someone gets this form, their first instinct is to click off of it. But you can probably attest to this. I know I can attest to this. If I'm on a website where I'm generally want to buy one of their products, like for example, I was looking for nice shirts like this. I was looking for them on, I forget the brand's site, but the pop-up came up, and I kid you not, this thing had so many like forms I had to fill out, tons of copy. The no thanks text was not like this. I just remember seeing that. But one thing is that when they're going to click on that no thanks text, by the way, I clicked off that one immediately because it just looked like such a pain to fill out. But when they see this no thanks text to go click on that, when that says no thanks, I'll pay full price, people kind of like stop and they realize like, oh wait, why would I pay full price? Like, of course I'm not going to pay full price. Let me just opt in quickly to this. All I have to do is submit my email and a button, and I'm good. Now, another thing is that this button should always say submit. It should not say continue. A lot of brands will make people continue on to input their SMS. Do not do that because people see continue and they know there's more steps ahead. You want to just put submit so that they think code's coming next. All right. Typically, sometimes we'll do a subheader here. I will be fair in saying that we do that sometimes. I would say fairly common we put subheader, but you should only have a subheader if it helps like educate me on what's going to happen. So like, for example, if the headline here is like take 10% off your order, and the subheader is like submit your email below to get the code instantly. All right. To get the code instantly. That is a little bit more supportive because it confirms in my mind that I'm about to get the code like right now, just after submitting this form. All right. So I don't want to take too much time to harp on the opt-ins, but those are some best practices that I highly encourage you to add into yours. But now keep in mind, like, you have to test these things. Oh, another thing that I'll mention here is images. So a lot of brands will put an image on like this side here or this side of the form. We've generally found through split testing that the images actually perform worse, typically just because it's more like added things to look at when this form comes up. Like, we want this thing to be as simple as possible. Like, present the offer, make it a simple form, make it appealing to the eye. So like, if the image helps sell me on why I should submit the form, like maybe this is a giveaway offer and the image shows like what I would get in the giveaway. That's an example of where an image really helps out. But again, main principles here, we'll actually add this right below the form. Main principles here, key takeaways. You want this form to be, let's make that left justified. So you want this form to be simple, easy to digest, and of course an attractive offer. Now, typically, we found that pretty much anything like 10 to 15% off is going to work well for you, and you can do just fine with that. Giveaway offers are fun to test. Sometimes those can perform really well. Sometimes certain brands, like especially in the fitness niche, you can get away with doing like a free PDF giveaway, and people will still be opting into that at a high rate. But yeah, anyways, the number you want to shoot for, so your conversion rate goal for your opt-in form should be 7% minimum. All right, shoot for 7% minimum. If you can crack 10% opt-in rate, you're doing great. All right, if you're struggling at like 2 to 3%, actually, I'll give you a quick example of this. Very occasionally, we'll have the need to put more friction on the form, so like a radio button, like this option or this option, because we need that info and we need to use that to put this lead into this category or this category in terms of what type of marketing they get. But if that's not necessary, There's way less friction. But when that is necessary, we'll even see like 3% opt-in rates, and we know that that's still good for us. But, assuming you're just doing a basic offer, like kind of what I reviewed right here for your ecom brand, 7% should be your goal. You should try to split test your way to 7%. And the things you're going to want to split test are these, right? So split test ideas. Split test in this order, all right? You're going to want to split test the offer, and then the copy, and then the design. And I will put in, probably after offer, we like to test things like timing. That's the main thing. Sometimes we'll test like, if they have to scroll in order for it to pop up, or if it just pops up over a certain amount of time of them being on the website. But this is typically the order in which we test things. Now, let's get into the actual sauce of this email, which is the welcome series. So we're going to have wow, that's a really bad rectangle. Let me erase that. So let's just do a few shapes here. Get some rectangles out. All right, we are going to do 4 emails here. All right, zoom in on this. Boom. Boom. All right, now allow me to explain myself. So email 1 should always be specific to the offer. That should be the focus here. All right, so what I mean by that is people opted in, and I'll tell you this, in some cases in the opt-in form, we'll put the code, like the actual discount offer coupon code, at the end of the form so that they get it right away. But most of the time you'll have an SMS step, meaning if they don't opt into SMS, they have to go to the email inbox to get the code from this opening email. So regardless, this opening email is very important. Now, or if you choose not to put the code in the success form, then they have to come here no matter what to get the code. So it's very important that this email is set up correctly. So we always focus on the actual offer in the header section. So the header section is basically above the fold, meaning everything that they see as soon as they open the email without scrolling. So you'll have a headline here, and then you'll have a button, and you'll have like the code here, and it's very simple. You'll probably have like a nice looking image here, but you want to keep the header section specifically on the code. I'll audit a lot of brands, even like really big brands, that still just have the code like buried down here in a little bit of body copy. And you're hiding the code that they came to the website for, or to the email for. So header section, just about the offer. Now below that, we'll usually go to the section right here that's pretty small. It's typically like I call it like a mission statement section, or like the benefits of what you sell. And right here, you're just like short and to the point, explaining like how, like if I had to prompt you on what copy to write here, it'd be, how do you help people, and make that very clear right here. And then below that, we usually go with like a subheader here. That's something about, like not sure what to use your code on. Here are some of our best sellers or something like that. And then you'll go with a few product sections like this. We like to keep them horizontal so that they're easy to be scrolled through, if possible. Sometimes we'll make these taller, but each section should have like the product. We like to do a review, and then like a little bit of copy about it. Not necessarily in this format, but we just like to showcase the product, a nice little blurb about it. Oh, and then of course a button. All right, so there should be a button for each product. Sometimes we'll do like either just body copy about the product, like a quick blurb explaining why it's valuable, or if it's a visual product, there doesn't need to be any copy. And then we always want to have reviews either specific to these products or just reviews at the bottom of this email. Always want social proof right away. We want to prove to people that we are, actually good at what we do, and we actually create great stuff. Another form of social proof is lifestyle images. So we've done split tests where we tested just product photos, especially in this opening welcome email, versus lifestyle photos, like with actual people in them. The lifestyle almost always outperforms. So I highly encourage, it's another form of social proof, because when people see other people using the product, it shows them like subconsciously like there's people actually using this. All right, so email 1 is specific to the offer. Let's add that right here. Okay. Now, let's move on to email 2. So email 2 is going to be about your unique selling proposition. Now let me explain. So unique selling proposition as a brand is like why should someone buy from you? You know, like what are you going to provide to them? Kind of like how in this email, this mission statement section was kind of like that unique selling proposition. So like for example, Dr. Squatch, I'm not too familiar with what their like claims are and why they're different, but I believe I may be wrong here, but I believe it's because they're a natural product, like it's actually natural, and it's for men. So it's natural, it's for men, no harmful ingredients, and not sure if they claim to have like good prices or what. But these are probably the main 3 things. So like these are the things that they would highlight in this second email. You know, like men, men, do you not want to use harmful ingredients in your body, whatever it is. That's what this email should be about. Now, the actual structure of it is pretty much going to be very similar. Keep in mind, every email, especially in this welcome flow, unless it's going to be like a long copy email, should just have a clean header section here. All right. And again, headline, button, image here, and like subheader, just like explaining the context of the unique selling proposition. So like for the Dr. Squatch example right here, we would probably want to, let me think. A good example here would probably be like, men do not want to use harmful ingredients in your body anymore. Here we are, whatever. Obviously the copy would be better than that, but that's an example. And then maybe they go into like 3 sections here where each section is one of these unique selling propositions. So like it could literally be like this copy exactly. You could quite literally take that copy and just put it here, and then have a nice lifestyle photo that like backs up that unique selling proposition. Then you put a button in each one, and then you just do that 3 times over for the rest of this email. So let me just copy and paste those. Yeah, so just assume you did this like 3 times, and that's exactly what this email would be. All right, moving on. Email 3. So email 3 is going to be specifically about social proof. All right, and what I mean by that is probably not what you think. So when most people hear just social proof, they think reviews. Social proof does not just have to be reviews. Social proof can be more so like a story, or it can be like, story is the best way to put it. So like one example is that we had a client, we still work with this client, that sells like self-help journals, like daily planners, home organization, stuff like that. And they have a client testimonial, or review as you'd call it. And it's someone like explaining their whole story of going from like almost like depressed and hopeless to essentially like loving their life because of the journals that they bought from our company. So because of that, we turned that whole review into an email, and it worked really well. So like basically you can do this one a little bit differently, where like you have your headline, you've got like the person's face here, and you say like their story, then you go on, you do like the basics, like right here you're just explaining like the basics of their story. You plug in like the products, so like then down here you plug in the actual products that they used, and then you'd probably have like a couple buttons. Typically we always want to have a button in the header section, but in some cases it makes sense to put them lower, because like right here we'd be teasing the story, then we'd explain the story, then we get into the products that they used, etc. But that's one example. You can also just litter this with reviews. You can say like, you can use a headline like, we have a hard time. That's probably not a good headline. You just want to focus on the social proof. So like, let me try to think of an example headline that you could use in a social proof email. So one good example is when you just simply like use a quote like in the subject line. It's just like, like a quote that really catches your attention, like for the Dr. Squatch as an example. Maybe let's actually go. Let's go to their reviews. And like this product right here has 1,200 reviews. If we were to go to a review, literally live right now, we can find one. Combination was nice. Let me find one really quick. Oh man, this is perfect. All right, so this person, Michael B, said, "I love the reaction I get when my wife see it is great." All right, obviously the wording is gonna have to be fixed there, but remember, this brand is marketing to men. All right, I love the reaction when my wife sees it. You could condense that down into a great headline. That would crush. All right, so that's exactly what you put right here. Then you highlight that review, and then throughout the rest of the email, you just filter buttons and reviews, obviously with other copy and images as well. Now, email 4 and beyond is where you kind of have some freedom. Now, let me explain what I mean. So, email 4 and beyond, we're either going with a specific product highlight or we're going with a unique angle. So when I say specific product highlight, what do I mean? What I mean is that a specific product highlight would be like taking a product. Let's go back to Dr. Squatch as an example. Let's take a product like the deodorant 4-pack. You might highlight this in an email, and the whole email is just filtered around, or it's structured around this one product and how you get like the 4 top scents that they sell. That's one example. You can also do unique angles. So like for example, if I go to their story section right here, let's go to our story. Let's go to the Squatch difference. Let's see. The Squatch story. Founder Jack began creating his own natural soap in his garage. He also knew there must be other guys out there who wanted better products with natural ingredients and manly scents. You could literally take this story and give it like a really intriguing hook. Of course, as long as the owner of your brand, unless you are the owner, as long as the owner's cool, that you take this story, you make sure that like there's a cool hook to it. And then you make a whole email about that. And that can even be like a plain text email, literally from the founder. So like one example here, I'm actually going to type this out for you live. So one example here is you go, hey name, hey Jack here from Dr. Squatch. All right. And then you get into the story. So you kind of explain like, I was in my garage one day. And realized something. And then you get into like the actual like hook of the story and like what the realization was and why that actually matters to the reader. And then keep in mind, the whole purpose of making this plain text is because it's intriguing someone, because it's so personal. Like this is literally from the founder himself. All right, and then eventually, so right here, you have the introduction. You give them like a nice little hook here, and then you explain the hook. So like this would be the part that's actually intriguing. The hook of the story, why it matters to the reader. You would include like the actual story itself. Then from here, you'd want to tie in the products. So it's like now we've helped, I don't even know, 100,000 plus men transform their like, maybe you're selling like the self-confidence here just by helping them smell better, as an example. I don't know if that's actually the type of copy they'd use. I'm just ripping this off the top of my head, but that's just an example. And then, so now you've helped all these people. You can do the same here by buying today. I mean, obviously you wouldn't say that, but I'm just using that as an example. Best Regards, Jacket Dr. Squatch. All right. And then obviously you'd include a link there for them to click. But that, I mean, like, obviously this copy needs to be improved, but that's just an example of how you can use a plain text email to lock in on a specific unique angle. This one's based on the company's story, and then go ahead and sell that. So all in all, those are the 4 main email angles. But after that, you're going to want to span this out as long as the metrics stay good. So like, just to give you some context on the metrics, you want to be seeing So you want to be seeing 40% plus open rates minimum. On that opening welcome email, this should be way higher. It should be closer to like 60, 70, 80. 40% open rates. You want to see at least 1% click rates here in this opening welcome series. And of course, just like good sales numbers. I can't give you a specific number on good sales numbers because that's going to be specific to your brand. But you can usually tell if the sales are good or not. Like it's pretty clear. And if the metrics are good, you know, add on more emails. So we'll span this out to like 10 plus emails in some scenarios because we'll have like winners from our campaigns that are just evergreen emails. And we'll just add that on to the end. Now, another thing I want to add here quickly before I wrap this up is that every email in the welcome series should have a banner, especially after email 1, not email 1. But everything after email 1 should have a banner with the offer. So like if you're giving 10% off, all of these emails, all the way up to 10, whatever it is, they should all have a banner that says, you know, use code XYZ for 10% off. And that's it. And then you just put that at the top. That can be linked as well. It should be linked to the product pages or the collections page. So yeah, that's about it for this whole setup. I really hope you found this valuable. If you have any questions on it, drop these in the comments. If you want to get free sauce like this all the time on email and SMS marketing for e-commerce brands, join my newsletter. It'll be in the description of this video. And yeah, I'm going to leave a video right here that you can click on to get some more insider information on what we're doing to make a ton of money from email and SMS marketing for e-commerce brands. But hope you found this valuable, and talk soon.